Pop culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on The Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Do y'all okay? You guys can see me. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry, y'all. Listen, it has been a time, and it's so funny because I was like, oh, let me do like a TikTok live at the same time, get these two going together because that's what I used to do. But maybe that kind of jinxed me today for today's morning report. Sorry about that. Y'all, I'm still sick. I think at this point it's allergies because I did go out to do the martial arts class that I was telling y'all about. And I felt great after that. But then when I biked home with all the pollen in the air, I have been just like ever since. So I'm going to the pharmacy after this to get some antihistamines to see if that helps me out with whatever is going on here. So shout out to you guys for still being here with despite all of the technical issues. We've got Gala. Good morning. Good morning, Jess, Nikki, Shemjem, Aaron, Ali, Venetia, Ronnie, Average Canadian Mom, Acacia, who was there with me on TikTok as well. We've got Linda, Angelica, Kahara, Emily, Christy, Minnie, Bricky, Kaichi, so many amazing people. Duana, Cynthia, Crystal, Hayat, T. Ruth, Amanda. So nice to have y'all here. Thank you so much for joining me. And to everybody else who was here, again, sorry for all of those technical issues. I do not know what was happening there, but I am so looking forward to talking with you guys. So Jess over here says she's really looking forward to our story about Amber and the nanny tape. So just a quick FYI for you guys. Kung Fu Portwood Do y'all remember the way that she had that machete scandal where she chased her second baby daddy, Andrew, around with a machete when he was at home with the child and everything? Well, her former nanny is speaking out about that, and I've got the tape. So there is a TikTok page that posted, I think it was about 11 parts total. And I have decided to share 2 parts that I thought were especially pertinent. So the first one was about Amber's connection or relationship or lack thereof with her son, James. And the second part was about the aftermath after the slashing took place in the house. Okay. So we've got that coming up in today's episode of the Morning Report, in addition to a lot more. Mackenzie McKee, for example, she unfortunately is dealing with some pregnancy complications that she opened up about on her TikTok page, including preeclampsia, which we are going to be getting into. And Diddy was actually seeking a mistrial. He wanted to get all this case thrown out yesterday. And thankfully, the judge decided that that absolutely was not going to happen. So just as an FYI, you guys, yesterday was day 11 of a witness testimony. And what happened was that there was an LA Fire Department arson investigator named Lance Jimenez who was testifying about the Molotov cocktail that was thrown into Kid Cudi's car that ensued the fire and everything like that. And this person told the jury that fingerprints connected to an alleged trespassing at Kid Cudi's house and the Molotov incident were actually destroyed. Right. And so Diddy's team is not happy about that because he feels as though there's an implication that his team had anything to do with that evidence being destroyed. Right. And so you already had Cudi, who said he didn't have proof that Diddy did it. However, he really believes that Diddy was behind it, given all of his strange behavior and whatnot. Then you had Diddy's former assistant, who had also, Capricorn Clark, who had also come on the stand and tied Diddy to the incident. And so now he feels as though with the LA Fire Department person saying that things were destroyed, right? And people said that Diddy had inside connections with the police, with the fire department, all those sorts of things. It all kind of lines up to make it look like he had this stuff destroyed. The fire person also said that this was not part of their normal procedure as well. So he was hoping that this would lead to some sort of a mistrial, but the judge rejected the request and instead told the jury to just ignore the questions about the fingerprints in general. Okay. And so there was another authority figure who did testify yesterday. That was LAPD officer Christopher Ignacio. And he told the jury about his experience responding to the break-in at Kid Cudi's house. And he said that as he was pulling up, he noticed that there was a black Escalade sitting there that peeled off when they pulled up and parked and everything. And when he ran the license plate of the black Escalade, what came back tied to Diddy's Bad Boy production company. So more and more, it's looking like there was some sort of a connection between Diddy and this incident. And although he's trying to get it thrown out, it really looks as though like there's a lot there to tie him to this situation. So don't forget, you guys, he also did try to get Kid Cudi's testimony thrown out because he felt as though there was not enough evidence to link him to it. Okay, you guys, give me a second, you guys. Actually, I want to show you this clip. There's a Cassie clip as well of the former escort who was there for the situation, who's testifying. I gotta blow my nose.
After testimony, feel at peace with what you've said. Knowing what you do now about what Cassie Ventura has said about how she's felt about these freak offs, what would you say to her if you could?
I would apologize. I would apologize because I had no idea, no indication what she was going through. And if, obviously my involvement kind of furthered her suffering, so just me knowing that as a man, being raised by a single mom and a grandma, just the thought of partaking in a scenario where a woman is possibly being abused is tough to hear. So, I would just apologize to her and, tell her that I was really remorseful and regret if I contributed to a bad.
There you go. That was the escort named the Punisher who had participated in a couple of the freak offs there on CNN, apologizing publicly to Cassie for the role that he played in her pain and suffering. Just as a reminder, Cassie was forced to participate in these freak-offs and to search and find these escorts against her better judgment, against her wishes, by Diddy. We also saw a video of her being dragged, kicked, beaten, a vase thrown at her head when she tried to escape a freak-off. So there really is no arguing that she didn't want to be a part of the situation. And so I just want to say that I thought it was really big of this person to publicly apologize to her for his part in it. And just as a reminder that he didn't know that she was there against her will or anything, right? Because Diddy always made her act as though this is something that she wanted to do. And so kudos to him for that. Speaking of Cassie, there also is some good news about Cassie, which is that she delivered her son yesterday. So remember how we spoke about her being rushed to the hospital on Tuesday, I believe it was, due to certain complications or whatever with her pregnancy. Well, they decided that it was best to just go ahead and deliver this baby in New York. And that's exactly what she did. And so from what I'm hearing so far, it seems as though her son is healthy, which is the most important thing here. And so, yeah, I definitely want to congratulate her and her husband, Alex Fine, on the birth of the third child together. For those who do not know, she and Alex have two girls together, and now this is her son. We don't know the name of her son yet. I know she's got a daughter named Frankie. I don't remember the name of the other daughter, and now she's got a son as well. Good morning to those of you who are just joining us. We've got Ramster, we've got Latasha, we've got Mystic, we've got Faye. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Lucky, Singer Savannah, Sel, Allison, so Bree, Jaleesa. So nice to have y'all here. Now, you guys, why don't we get into our next story? Why don't we get into Mackenzie? I always want to call her Mackenzie Standifer for one reason or another. I think it's because, I've done so many stories about Mackenzie Standifer lately, but this is about Mackenzie McKee. As you guys know, she is currently pregnant with 2 babies, right? They're going to be 2 daughters that she shares with her fiance, Cassano. And prior to her getting pregnant, in fact, she didn't want to get pregnant. This is something that Cassano pushed on to her because he wanted his own biological child with her, even though she's got 3 children, and each one of those pregnancies for her was extremely complicated and life-threatening. And so they decided to go ahead and implant 2 embryos. And I don't think they did this with the intention of having twins. I think they actually just did this because, sometimes when you implant 2 embryos, only one survives. And I think that she just didn't want to go through this cycle anymore. So she just wanted to do it this one time to have a chance of at least having one baby, right? And so ultimately, both of them stuck. And so she's pregnant with twins. And this was obviously a high-risk pregnancy from the very beginning for her. And up until this point, everything seemed to have been going really well until she was rushed to the hospital. She said that she had gained somewhere like 20 pounds of water weight or something like that overnight. And she decided they told her that she was dealing with preeclampsia. She had all of the symptoms, including protein in her urine and everything. However, the doctor who was seeing her said that the symptoms were not bad enough to go and full-blown deliver the babies at this moment. And so the babies, however, on the good side, are measuring in the 97th percentile. And she's saying that she's going to be speaking with her own doctor today to get more information about this and to get a second opinion about whether or not she should go ahead and deliver the babies like anytime, like between now and a week from now, 2 weeks from now, however many weeks it might take for her. So I'm wishing her the best. Yeah, you guys, she said she gained something like 12 to 20 pounds of water weight within about 48 hours, if I'm remembering correctly. This is something that she announced on her Snapchat, by the way. And so I'm definitely very nervous for her. This seems like a lot. This seems like a very extreme kind of turn of events because, up until now, she had been saying that things have been going well. She was enjoying this pregnancy and whatnot. And then, and that's the thing about pregnancy, right? Is that you really never know if and when things can just go left all of a sudden, right? Good morning, East Awesome. East says, hi, y'all. I'm back in back-to-back meetings today, but I'm listening in the background. Thanks for joining us. Is this at your new job, by the way? Can I say that? Or should I be whispering at your new job? Congratulations again, by the way, East. Ramster says, I'm in bed. Limbs feel like rubber. Hope it's not the flu. And I'm sorry to hear that. Get well soon. And I hope it's not the flu either. Are you able to make yourself a nice chicken noodle soup or something like that? Acacia says, I hope it works out for Mackenzie going through all of that. And same here. It feels like a really, really difficult thing to go through. Preeclampsia is something that happens, often enough in pregnancies, it feels like. However, it is still a very dangerous, life-threatening condition, and it's something that can be dangerous to the child as well. So I'm happy that she decided to go ahead and seek a second opinion from her primary doctor about this situation, right? It's one thing to go to the emergency room. It's another to go to a doctor who knows you, has been following you, has all of your files and everything. Good morning, Summer Breeze. And yeah, Star, she said something between 12 to 20 pounds. And that's a lot. And it was within about 48 hours. Minnie says, that sounds so dangerous. I don't know why she went home. And same here, right? Because typically when that happens, like they're rushing to get you to deliver, right? And I believe that she has made it to at least 30 something weeks with the babies. So I feel like she is in a good place if, this is, as serious as they say, if this is as life-threatening as they say, to just go ahead and deliver. Bree says, I had preeclampsia too. She needs to eat a ton of protein. I hope she can make it. And so I have a question for you, Bree, since this is something that you've gone through. They say that she already has protein in her urine. Does that not mean that she already has too much, or does that mean like she's leaking protein and she needs to replenish protein? Like, well, what do you think that all that means? And yes, shout out to you guys for sending all of your prayers to Mackenzie, wishing her the best. And I agree, Ramstar. Like, I think this man is so selfish for even putting her through this situation, right? Like, she already was she had taken out her tubes and everything, right? Because she had closed up shop. She didn't want to have any more children. And then along comes this guy, and he's pushing for children. She keeps telling him, it's dangerous for me. I risked my life already with 3. I almost died 3 times with these 3 babies. And he's like, no, like, you got to think positively. Everything's going to be fine. What? Like, he's not the one with his own life on the line, right? Like, the guy is so selfish. And on top of that, she said she wanted to be married before she had more kids. And so he threw a ring on it to get her to shut up and risk her life. Right? They're still not married, I'm sorry, but a fiance is a glorified boyfriend. He's still technically just her boyfriend. She's still single, So all of this for what? It is crazy to me. Good morning, Seattle. Nice to see you in the building. Jalisa says, my bestie had preeclampsia with her twins, delivered 2 months early and had perfectly healthy boys. Her girls will be healthy. Amen. Let's claim it. And that's what I'm thinking as well. I think she has made it far enough to where, perhaps the babies would need to be in the NICU or something like that, but they would be healthy enough. It feels like, I don't think it would be the end of the world for her to be induced at this point. Bia says, just got here. I don't know what I missed, but on Mackenzie, I skipped preeclampsia and went straight eclamptic. Oh my God. And it almost ended badly. Oh, that must have been absolutely terrifying for you. I'm sorry you went through that. I hear about preeclampsia all the time, but I've never heard of somebody going straight up eclamptic. Oh my gosh, that must have been truly terrifying. But thank God everything turned out well for you. Right? Struggle is Real says they don't care about mothers nowadays. And it kind of feels that way, right? It kind of feels as though and, we already know about the maternal mortality crisis and whatnot, right? Especially affecting Black women. But, it really feels like that is something across the board. I've heard a story about a woman who was considered brain dead or something like that. And she was pregnant and her family had asked for them to pull the plug on her. However, because she's pregnant, and mind you, at the time, she was only about 4 weeks pregnant, right? 2 months. They said that they were not going to do it. They wanted for her to stay, brain dead and everything, so that she could deliver this baby. And so it really feels like there's no dignity or care for mothers anymore these days. And that's the thing that surprises me as well. She doesn't care. And by the way, Colorful World, thank you. So you guys, I am live on on TikTok as well. So what I'm going to do is change the location of my phone so that the sound could be a little bit better. Okay, so let me know if it's better. So yeah, and on top of that, Mackenzie's diabetic and her numbers were crazy. Like her diet, like she had a hard time getting a doctor to say yes to implanting these embryos because her diabetes was out of control, right? So with all of those things factored in, it is rather amazing that they chose to just go ahead and send her home instead of trying to, you know, potentially induce labor. Now, why don't we switch gears to the Amber Portwood story, y'all? So once again, in case you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the Morning Report. We go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the day's hottest stories. So if you find yourself enjoying today's episode of the show, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that YouTube, Facebook, TikTok knows that you enjoy my content, okay? So shout out to you guys who were telling me about the Amber Portwood story. This is something that was going viral on TikTok. So you could find the full series on a TikTok page called Reality Rex. And basically there was an interview done with a woman who served as Amber and Andrew's nanny when Amber still had custody of her son, James. And so this nanny shared stuff that, you know, was pretty much what you would imagine was going on with Amber Portwood in her house, right? Like we had already heard the audio tapes that Andrew had released a couple of years ago about what Amber was really like behind the scenes. Like she would refer to her child, he was an infant, like a true baby at the time. She would refer to him as it. You know, when the baby would cry, she'd be like, make it stop. It's your turn to calm it. It's your turn to take care of it. Like this sort of a thing, right? And she was just so ugly towards him. And I think she had even tossed the baby at Andrew because she was so frustrated. Like it was really disturbing, right? The audio tapes that were leaked about Amber Portwood and the way she spoke about this child. So now hearing from a nanny who had lived with her and Andrew, it's just, it's not surprising at all. So take a listen. So in this first clip, the nanny speaks about in the first clip, what does she speak about? So she speaks about how Amber never actually really held this child or anything like that. She had no real connection to him. So take a look, you guys. Let me know what you think, okay?
I never witnessed her pick him up, play with him, nothing like that. It was always Andrew. There were a couple of occasions when I would go into the master bedroom, and if her and Andrew were in there with her and if Amber and Andrew and the baby were in that bedroom and they had James on the bed, if he would start to like crawl towards her, he would just direct him back towards Andrew. And I would just kind of just wonder in my mind, what is she doing? She would show that child no attention, none. After she was arrested, I was there every single day. And not one time did that baby ever say, Mama, Mama, Mama. Never once, never once. Never.
So you saw the marks on the door?
Yeah.
Like, were there slash marks on the office door?
Yeah.
Were they there previously?
No.
Because that was one of the stories that she was spinning very early on, that those were scratches from a dog.
No, I'm going to call liar, liar, pants on fire on that one.
Okay.
Because I painted that entire upstairs hallway.
Okay.
And doors. Okay?
Yeah.
So that was fresh paint up there.
Okay. How long were the marks?
Oh, at least like the size of a ruler, like 12 inches.
Was there a lot of them?
At least 4. I mean, they were gash marks. You know, like a machete.
Like,
were
they deep into the door?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, deep enough to where, with one of the swings, she broke the doorknob. The doorknob was broke.
So the doorknob was off the door.
Not all the way off the door. It was kind of like dangling. She had, hit it so hard that it was dangling down. So
she could have theoretically broken through that door.
Yeah. If she wanted to, yeah, she could have easily done that.
you guys, Amber Portwood's former nanny, not testifying, but speaking to an interviewer about what the aftermath was like of Amber's machete attack. And not only that, but also talking about her lack of connection with her own son, never wanting to pick him up, hold him, anything like that, the child having no connection to her, not making any kind of an effort to say mommy or anything like that when she kind of, disappeared from the scene in the midst of all of this as well. And so it really appears as though so many of you are wondering how she's not still in prison. And that's a question I have as well, right? There are so many people in this Teen Mom universe who deserve to be in prison for like life, right? So you got Nathan the Town Strangler, you got dog killer David Eason and his history of violence and whatnot. There are just so many people where you're like, how are you out roaming free and in the open? It's just, honestly, the justice system, like, it feels like there's something missing, right? Good morning, Michelle. Nice to see you, boo. Bree says, I'm still wondering how she isn't in prison. This is so scary. She can do this and be out here living a free woman, especially considering this is not her first time committing DV, especially DV in front of a child. And there's a weapon involved and everything. Like, this is crazy. Right? And it's not just like a kitchen, like this is a full-blown machete. Like, it's just, honestly, comme on dit en français, c'est hallucinant, like, you're like, it's just, your jaw, you're speechless in regards to what's going on. Average Canadian Mom says, Amber is a horrible person. I feel so bad for her children. Crazy a nanny for a one baby. I wish I had 4 kids. And mind you, she didn't just have a nanny. Apparently she also had a babysitter as well to kind of supplement the time with the nanny so that she didn't have to do a damn thing. But honestly, it makes me look at Andrew kind of weird too, because it's like, you're here at home, right? And you're looking after this child too, or at least you should be. Why is it that you need like 2 people to help you as well, right? Like, very, very strange. Vivian says, this sounds bad, but I did test to WOACB. I can't even listen to her in here. I'm sorry, girl. Is that who that was interviewing? I was wondering who that was. I was like, that sounds like a... Shout out to Minnesota, but that sounds like someone from Minnesota. Okay, so now it makes sense. B Chocolate says, with all the existing evidence out there, one would have to assume that any man that gets with her is only in it for a cash grab. And I agree. And I think that that was the case with Andrew. Andrew met her when she was like at her worst. Do y'all remember? And this photo is from when he met her. She did that like show. What was it called? Like Family Boot Camp or whatever, that sort of a thing. And she was strung out of her mind. She was looking for a fight like every 2 seconds. She was absolutely atrocious. And this man was there to witness all of this and said, yup, I'm putting a baby in you within 2 weeks, So, of course he is a victim and I'm sad for him, but, his own judgment is something that, will forever baffle me in that situation as well. Like, she seemed like very, very, very unwell, right? And so I still do find that to be very strange. Good morning, Lala. Thanks for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We hope you enjoy today's episode of the Morning Report. So you guys, again, if you want to catch the entire series, I guess you could watch it on Without a Crystal Ball on YouTube, but it's also on TikTok. Reality Rec has divided it into a bunch of different sections. Okay, you guys, I do have a story about Sydney Sweeney that I wanted to share with y'all as well. Are you guys fans of Sydney Sweeney? I have to tell you, I know she has that one show. What is it called? It's that show with like, what is that girl? Zendaya. And I don't really like that show because I don't like watching people high or drunk or whatever. Like, that's why I don't get into that show. What is it called? Euphoria. And I never really cared for Breaking Bad either because it's just people strung out. And there's just something so depressing about watching that to me. Thanks, Jen. So I don't get into these. I'm sure they're talented. I'm sure they're amazing shows, but I just do not like that sort of content, right? But I did watch her in that movie. I don't know what it's called, but she was like, it was like kind of a horror movie sort of a thing. Like she was a nun or something like that. She was in a conclave or whatever you call that, like for a monastery. And it was a really good film. So she's really popular, especially with the men. They keep telling her that they are obsessed with her. She's the hottest thing ever. They would drink her dirty bathwater. So, sorry, y'all. So Sydney Sweeney decided to go ahead and monetize that by launching her own brand of soap. And it's not just any soap, right? It's not just soap ingredients. It's called Sydney's Bathwater Bliss. And essentially she said, yeah, I bathed in this. You're going to get the remnants of my dead skin, my fecal matter, my coochie juice. You can eat this bar of soap. You could bathe yourself with this filthy bar of soap. You could do whatever you want, stalkers. Just make sure you pay me. And I got to say, listen, on the one hand, I respect the hustle. You go, you make a coin off these creeps, right? But on the other hand, who knows what these creeps are going to do with it? They might rub one out with your bathwater soap. That might make them feel like they're connected to you because they've got your dead skin cells or something. Like, I feel like they might make some like candles to cast some spells to get you to fall in love with them. Like, who knows, right? All of it just creeps me out. Like, bless her for getting her coin. But I think that when you do things like this, or when people like Farrah Abraham create these products where, Farrah created molds of her coochie, right? So like these people are like, sticking it in to like psychologically for people who are unwell and obsessed with you, this type of stuff, I feel like it enables them. And we already know that these celebrities have problems with stalkers. So to me, I get nervous when they go down this road, introducing things to further enable stalkers, right? To feel like they're close to them, to feel like they're touching them, to feel, this like level of intimacy with them. So I am nervous about her because she's got really creepy fans, like truly, truly profoundly creepy fans, right? Woo, we got a super sticker. Thank you so much, Vivian, for the super sticker. That is so nice of you. Thank you so much for your support. You guys, if you also want to support the channel, I've got a free and quick and easy way for you to do it. If you're enjoying today's episode of The Morning Report, please do not hesitate to go ahead and give it a like on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, whatever that might be, okay? Thank y'all so much. And thank you again to you as well, Vivian. Jaleesa says Sydney will be in the movie adaptation of one of my favorite books. What is that? Let us know. Why are you leaving us Why are you leaving us hanging, Jaleesa? We want to know. Maybe we'll go watch it. Do y'all know the name of the movie I'm talking about that I watched with her? I went and watched it in theaters. It was so good. It was like some kind of nun thing. Like she was in a monastery or something like that. And I really liked it. B Chocolate says she was a monster on that show. And he up and moves to Indiana and she gets pregnant within a hot minute. Yes, he's a victim, but his hands aren't clean. So this is in regards to Amber, Portwood, and Andrew. And I agree. There's something off about him for seeing her in that state and rushing to get her pregnant. She had had many boyfriends since Gary and her daughter Leah never got pregnant, I think with the exception of Matt. And that was after a long while. But with Andrew, all of a sudden, I don't know, something about that was very, very weird. Kikar says, honestly, shame on Andrew. True. He knew how horrible she was with Leah, and he brought another innocent baby into the situation. Listen, some people will do anything for a check or for some relevancy, and that's what makes me really, really sad. Houston Rose says, WTF. Exactly, right? And yes, I agree. Sydney Sweeney is very, very pretty indeed. So it looks like y'all are not her target market. Y'all are not going to be buying this dirty bathwater soap. T. Root says, in 15 years, she's going to be complaining about how sexist and superficial the industry is. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised, right? It always feels that way, where there's a cycle of feeding into it, right? And enabling this sort of behavior, then turning around and criticizing it. Jalisa says, period. Sydney's LMAO, sell it to these men. Also, I know that brand of soap. I don't think it's her actual bathwater. That brand of soap always has weird names for their soap. Oh, is that because she said, no, but she said that it's hers. Because you know what? She better be telling the truth. I hope she's not, and I hope you're right. But here's the thing. If you sit here and you tell people that it's one thing and it has a certain ingredient, which is your bodily fluids or whatever, and then it doesn't, that's false advertising. And people could turn around and sue you for that, right? Oh, God. Oh, Sydney, why are you doing this to us, Sydney? I get the concept. I think she's going to make a lot of money. I think it's a limited edition, by the way. She's only selling 5,000 bars, right? But you know what? Good luck. Can't knock that hustle, y'all. Can't knock that hustle. Jen says people seem to get real creepy with her. I don't blame her for at least making money from that. And I agree. Right, I agree, but I'm still nervous for her. Ali says they have problems with stalkers and their hygiene. Post Malone not showering. Oh, don't even get me started on Post Malone. Do not get me started on that man. Jaleesa says she'll be in the movie The Housemaid. Also, did you see the Q and Dawn story? Okay, I'm going to take a look for The Housemaid. Okay, I'm going to find a trailer. And I did see the Q and Dawn story. So for those who are wondering, Jaleesa is talking about Q from day 26. Do y'all remember Making the Band? Diddy had that show, right? And so he had some of the people from it. He created Danity Kane, and then he created Day 26. Listen, he snapped with those groups. Those groups made incredible music, and he found incredibly talented people. And so there was a singer from Danity Kane named Don Richard, and then there was a singer from Day 26 named Q, and they started dating, right? And I remember following the storyline and finding it to be really sweet and beautiful. However, Q recently came out, and he said that Diddy used Don to slip him a pill that made him, get knocked out or something like that, essentially roofie him. And Don is coming out denying it. Listen, I'm not saying that he's coming out of the blue to lie or anything like that, but I do not believe that Don would take part in something like that either. So good question, Julie. So where do you guys fall on this? Do you think that that's what happened? Do you think that maybe his drink was already spiked? I don't know. But the whole thing is just so icky. I feel for him. He also did say that he was diagnosed with not schizophrenia, but something like a very serious mental health disorder as a result of the trauma from dealing with Diddy. By the way, we've got another super chat. Thank you so much, Acacia. Acacia says, have a great weekend. Thank you, Boo. Thank you. Listen, y'all, as soon as I'm done with today's morning report, I am running to the pharmacy. I am getting myself some antihistamines so that I can at least try to have a good weekend because this has been a week of just being congested. You know what I bought? I bought a thing called the rhino horn where you tilt your head to the side and then you pour the water and it's supposed to, and it works, for a little bit, but I'm trying everything and nothing's working so far. So I'm hoping the antihistamine is going to work. And hey, Lori, she says that she just love when I make it to Alive as a lonely stay-at-home mom. It makes me feel like I'm with the gals and the gays. I love this. And I know how you feel. You know what, Lori? One of my friends, so I keep telling you guys that here in Paris, people don't really have kids young or whatever, right? So I'm in my 30s. And my first person in my direct friend group to have a kid, she's 40, right? And so, she's the only one in the group with a kid. Her family lives in these different cities in France and whatnot. And so I'm always checking on her because, I do imagine that there's something so isolating about it. So shout out to you and, to all the other single moms out there, because I know how isolating that can be, and if you guys have any not single moms, sorry, stay-at-home moms. And so if you guys have any friends who, are new moms or moms in general, make sure to check in on them because, sometimes it does get lonely. Sometimes people do forget, about them. James says, French pharmacy are the crème de la clique hospital, aka the best. La crème de la crème. Yes, indeed. You find a lot of really, really good gadgets and whatnot over there. So I'm really, really thankful to have such good pharmacies here. And thanks, Jess. I'm going to boil some water and put eucalyptus essential oil. Y'all free me from this. It has been miserable. I'm telling you, miserable. Why don't we get into the Mama June story next, okay? So do y'all remember how Mama June and her daughters, they were these huge sensations on television. They started off on Toddlers and Tiaras, and then they started filming their own family reality show afterwards. And then it came out that Mama June, who used to brag, this woman would be so proud of herself, talking about how she would take all of her children's earnings, put them into a college fund so that they would have stable futures. They would go off, get their educations already paid for and whatnot. Well, it turned out that she got with a really bad guy. I think his name was Gino or something, and she started doing rugs and she got hooked, and then she spent all of her kids' money on that, right? And so, it just, first of all, children being forced to be on television or to grow up on television because of their parents makes me sad. But then when you hear that they have no money for all the work that they put in over the years, that just pisses me off. It enrages me, okay? So her daughter, Pumpkin, aka Lauren, just got evicted from her Georgia trailer. Look at it. This is what she was living in. Listen, let me bring you over here, TikTok. This is what she was living in. After trading up her childhood for fame for her mother, that is what she was left to live in. And she couldn't even keep up with the payments on that. Isn't that they made good money on television, y'all. They made good money. Good money. And this is what they were left with. I find that to be so sad. The way I would never speak to that woman again, another day in my life, because she went, she snorted, she injected, she just spent it all that money on nothing. and you're left to live like that. That truly is unfair. And it is just so cruel. It really is. And so again, she got evicted from that place. She owed $4,000 in back rent. And I'm sorry, but when I look at this, I'm like, okay, well, how much could it be? Right? It's like a little trailer and it doesn't even look very inhabitable. It literally looks like a storage facility, right? In the middle of nowhere. What is she paying on that thing? Like $300 a month or something? Like, how long has she not been paying to accrue $4K in back rent? Y'all, she was paying over $1,000 a month for that thing, $1,500 a month for that. That is insane, y'all. Truly insane. When I tell y'all that my rent on my Parisian apartment, and mind you, I live in the best, the best neighborhood of Paris. It's about the same price as this. Isn't that crazy, y'all? Absolutely insane. Truly, right? And so, thankfully, she had vacated the property, but she just refuses to pay back the rent that she owes. And mind you, this woman, she's got 4 children. She's going through a divorce. She also had to step in and help raise her sister, Honey Boo Boo, aka Alana, when the mother lost custody of her. And so that was an added expense in addition to her children, right? And Honey Boo Boo's mom, Mama June, never paid her the child support that she owed for that either. So she really screwed her children, completely screwed these children. I feel bad for them. I really do. I feel like she set them up just for a life of hardship, whether it's health hardship, right? With the way that she was feeding these kids, like there was no nutrition in this house. They used to act like it was so funny that all she would feed these children is processed garbage and that she would overfeed these children. Right. And then on top of that, not setting them up with a good education, and then you're stealing from them, and then you're thrusting them into the limelight. It's just one trauma after another for these children. They really, truly never had a chance with this woman as their mother. And I find it to be so sad. I think that people should be thinking harder before they have kids. Can I really give a child everything that a child deserves? Right. And this woman, unfortunately, she couldn't, but she said, you know what, let me go ahead and pop out. How many did she have? Like 5 of them or something like that. Let me pop out a bunch of them anyway. That is so unfair. It is. Okay. So let me get into some of the comments that y'all are leaving about this story now. Bum, ba, bum. You guys' comments are coming in so quickly, by the way. I'm trying to catch up to see where I can go. I'm, by the way, those of you who are leaving comments about Diddy and whatnot, I'm bookmarking them so I can go back to that after this story, okay? So Keisha says, oh my God, I just saw the Lifetime movie that Alana did. It was actually good. So sad how the mother treated them. And thanks for reminding me. I was actually listening to Kale Lowry's podcast, the Barely Famous podcast, and she had Alana on as a guest, and she was hyping that up. That's what she was there to promote. So thanks for letting me know that it was good. I'm going to go ahead and check that out at some point this weekend, okay? Good morning, Cammie. And yeah, I agree. X, this is like a tin shanty, right? It's like a little, thing. Like $1,500 a month for that is insane, right? And I agree, Shayna. Guys, do not do rugs. And be careful with your drinking. Stay away from people who overdrink and then who try to push you to drink. Because that's the thing about these people who want to party hard and who want to drink and be hungover for days after or whatever. They will always push for you to join them in their misery. So stay away from people like that, truly. I've been very open with you guys for the past year or so about like the struggles of like ending a friendship with someone who is just too deep into alcohol. Like, if you don't want to go down that route, like stay away from those people, truly. It hurts and it sucks and it's sad, but you got to do what's best for yourself, right? Amelia said she'd rather have Sydney Sweeney's toilet water. Amelia, oh my God, girl. Good morning, Tyrell. Were you at Tim Hortons again? If so, I'm jealous. Shayna says, their story always gets me. They came from nothing. I would be so scared to get back to that. And you would think that with that level of fear, you would make all the smart moves so that you don't have to. They didn't have to go back to that. They had so much money, but the mom snorted it all away. She injected it all away. She invested it in random boyfriends. Camry says, I've seen Honey Boo Boo's Lifetime movie. Her sis was a better mom to her than her own mom was, period. And that's the sister now who got evicted from this trailer that she was paying $1,500 a month for. Again, how the hell was this thing $1,500 a month in the middle of nowhere? The thing that, I'm sorry, but like this is not worth $1,500 a month. I'm truly confused about that, right? Anyway, Gabrielle says, well, she scammed people from her aunt. Did she? That the daughter scammed? Because I did hear that she was running her boutique out of this thing as well. Sheena says, their rent is cheaper than mine. We live in the same state. Ooh. And I imagine that your place looks better too, right? I think they got screwed. I don't know how the hell they got locked into this, right? Just as where I live, you can get a nice 3-bedroom apartment. Oh my God, for $1,500 a month. I need to move. Y'all already know I'm trying to move. Paris is so expensive, y'all. The amount that you pay for a tiny thing. Listen, the lifestyle is better than any other city I've ever lived in. And probably any other city I will ever live in. However, you pay so much for so little in terms of housing, right? So sad. And I agree, Ramster. There's something so Amber coded about this, right? Especially the fact that she spent so much money on the boyfriends and she lost these kids chasing after her boyfriend. And, throw Janelle in there as well, because that's like Janelle as well. And exactly, Lex, the ketchup butter spit. Anytime I see these people, and there's a mom on TikTok like this as well. And, whenever I had to block her because she would pop up on TikTok. And she would be like, oh, today I'm going to be feeding my kids. And her kids are so young. And you know what she's feeding them? Like it's just garbage. It's pure garbage that she's feeding these children. I'm like, why would you set your children up for a lifetime of health issues? Why are you putting your children on the track of what type of diabetes is it that you get from too much sugar or whatever? Like, why are you putting them on such a terrible, terrible path? And you're acting like it's funny, you're acting like it's cute, but this is when you build people's relationship with food and, you're supposed to be pushing them in a healthy direction. And this is what you're doing. Like, this is so sad, right? I think it was Mountain Dew and Red Bull or some kind of energy, really bad for children. Like they're killing these children's health before the children even have a chance to live properly, right? Like they're not even going to make it to adulthood before they start having all these terrible health issues. And it is so sad. It's so sick. Anyway, I get so frustrated talking about these kinds of people because they piss me off. They truly piss me off. Jaleesa says, no, Grace, you need the full story and see clips from Making the Band. You believe them? Okay, Jaleesa, I'm going to have to go back and look. And I think somebody else said the same thing. Vinaya with your baby. Is this a Christmas tree? That's so cute. Dawn gave a very Diddy answer to Q. If I did that, why did you keep me around? Well, that's a scary thing to be saying. But she has a civil suit against Diddy saying he mistreated her for years. But in 2023, she asked him for help. That's not cool, Dawn. You can't be saying that kind of thing. Okay, you guys, I'm going to have to go back and see some more info on this, okay? I guess I misspoke. Nikki says, I think Diddy rugged him and blamed Dawn. That's what I was thinking as well. I'm like, okay, what if the drink or the whatever that Diddy had given him already, roofied him. That's what I was thinking. But some people are saying maybe Dawn was behind that. Alex says, Grace, t'es trop chou avec ta copine, vraiment. Merci. Franchement, j'aime trop mes amis. She says, you're so cute with your friend, really. And I said, yes, I love my friends. Thank you. You do have to check in on your friends, Life is really kicking everybody's behind lately. And, I actually went on TikTok yesterday and I was like, I have never had an allergy problem in my life. Why am I reacting like this all of a sudden? Like, is it normal to in your 30s all of a sudden have allergy issues? Like, is it what's going on? And they said people are starting to develop allergy problems that they never had before due to global warming. I forgot the exact explication, but it was a guy and an allergenist who was speaking about it. So people had different theories, right? Some people said, oh, they're planting more male trees or more female trees, blah, blah, blah. The guy said, no, that's not it. It's global warming. And he broke it down and explained why that is, that people, like myself, who never had allergies before, are suddenly, developing symptoms of it. And thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie's always on you guys' necks about those likes. And I love that. You guys, if you're enjoying today's episode of The Morning Report, please do not hesitate to go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Good morning, Farah. How are you doing? Hope all is well with you. Nice to see you. Amanda says, on top of that, dragging Anna's daughters through this situation on TV, much less at all, is absurd. And I agree. It is so irresponsible, honestly. And you know what? We really believed her. I remember having conversations with my own mother about Mama June, when Mama June would say things like, oh, I'm, saving my children's money. I'm not touching it. They're not touching it. It's going to be there for their education. We believed her. We said, yes, girl, set it off, set these kids up. And then to find out that none of that was true and that she just, used and abused those kids, it makes me sick. Dejanira, oh, are you Brazilian? because this is like Rio de Janeiro or something. De Janeiro, I like that. I've watched you since I was pregnant for my son in 2018, and just now seeing you go live. I'm so excited now. My day is made. I finally caught you live. I love that. So that means your son must be 7 years old already. I've been on YouTube that long. That is crazy. Oh my God. That is insane. Thanks so much, De Janeiro. That is so cool to hear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't believe we've been rocking with each other for this long. That's crazy. Wow, time flies. It really does. It still feels like to me that I just got on here like last week or something like that, right? Like that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It looks like you guys might be dealing with some allergy stuff as well. Sweet Bonjour says, I didn't have allergies until I was about 25. They get worse every year. Oh my God. You mean this doesn't just go away? It's miserable. It's miserable. Michelle says, I didn't have any allergies until I hit 30. Now I'm allergic to outside and a bunch of foods. Oh God. I came here looking for hope. And y'all are telling me that this is just the beginning. The suffering has just begun. Thanks, y'all. This sucks. X says, oh, bro, I'm in Manitoba, Canada, and the province is on fire. It's definitely global warming related. So dry. Like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Shout out to you, Manitoba. I think that the shape of your province is so beautiful because I don't know if you know, I'm Canadian as well. And so one thing we used to do in school in Canada is you color in the map of these different provinces. And so Manitoba resembles like a jug of water, a little pitcher of water. I think it's so cute. Farrah says, yes, we can develop allergies. I never had allergies before. Now I have allergies, nasal congestion, blood pressure, headache, normal right now. Oh my God, guys, thank you for letting me know that this is just the beginning. I'm so happy. I am so thrilled. Truly. Thank you. I'm just joking. You guys, I do have a Baldoni versus Blake update for you. It has been a little bit of a while since the last time we got some new information about it. So the last time that we heard about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively and their legal situation, what was happening? Justin Baldoni's lawyers were getting pretty much screamed at, okay, in court by the judge. In the filings by the judge. The judge said, y'all need to F off with this because they had filed this thing saying, I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend that Blake Lively threatened Taylor Swift and I'm going to swear it under oath. And the judge said, what the hell does this have to do with me? Take this out of my damn courtroom, keep it on the playground. Leave me alone. This is a mess and you should be ashamed of yourself, right? That was the last time I had an update about this. And then the judge also deleted that filing as well. And so now I have an update. Basically, what's going on is that the people who are the PR team that is associated with Blake Lively, that helped get the article that set this entire lawsuit situation off. Do y'all remember? Was it a New York Times article or something like that where it was like, Blake Lively surviving Justin Baldoni, essentially? And so that pissed Justin Baldoni off, and he filed this lawsuit against them and against Blake, right? And so basically, her team, a journalist who goes by the name of James Vitsuka, he is refusing, and he's from the Daily Mail, by the way, right? He is refusing to share his communications with Justin Baldoni or any of his production company with the people from Blake Lively and her PR team. So they're saying, we didn't do anything. Justin Baldoni is the one who speaks with journalists about the movie and all the drama and whatnot. And they're trying to prove it by trying to compel the journalists from the Daily Mail to talk to them and to release all of their information and correspondence with Justin. But the journalist says, no, I am protected as a journalist. So I do not have to do this. In fact, you guys should actually have all the information that you need based off of your subpoena to Justin already. And you guys can go ahead and leave me out of it. And so, for now, there's no ruling from the judge on it at all. But just an FYI that is the latest set of papers that were filed. And so basically under federal rules of civil procedures 26 and 45, they cited that discovery should be obtained from the most convenient and least burdensome or least expensive source. And so the argument is that compelling a non-party journalist to produce information like that imposes an undue burden on the journalist, and the journalist already benefits from reporters' privilege. And the journalist also says that the subpoena is overly broad and lacking specificity and potentially encompassing a vast array of irrelevant information. So basically, this journalist, who may or may not have been in communication with Justin Baldoni and his team, in his filing requests that the court deny the Sloan party's motion to compel and quash the subpoena issued to the journalist, citing undue burden, protection under reporter's privilege, and the overbroad nature of the request. So again, for those of you who are wondering who the Sloan parties are in this situation, that refers to Leslie Sloan, who is a prominent Hollywood publicist, and her firm Vision PR. And they represent people like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And she's the one who Justin Baldoni and his team are claiming planted those stories in the New York Times and whatnot about how, terrible it was to work with Justin Baldoni, how Justin Baldoni is incredibly sexist, that sort of a thing. So just a little bit of an FYI. We don't know yet if the judge is going to accept this, right? Or if the judge is going to deny it or anything like that, but just an FYI on the latest regarding that situation. Now, how many of you guys are watching Bravo's, thanks Alex, how many of you are watching Bravo's Love Hotel? So I really, really love that show, really do. And I don't know if East Awesome says that he's listening in the background. So shout out to you, East Awesome. And I know Jaleesa likes it as well. But what about the rest of you guys? Are you into this too? Ramster, Allie, who else is rocking with us here? Sheena, right? Last night's episode of the show was actually really good. Really, really good. So basically, Shan gives Earl the contact information for his former stepson, who he has not seen since the separation with the child's mother when the child was 11 years old. And up until this point, I thought that this was a parting gift. I said, oh no, she's leaving him. I liked Earl the Pearl for her. I know that they had this kind of, falling out and big drama or whatever over something as basic as the man not eating vegetables. Listen, that would be a deal breaker for me. A man who brags in his 50s about not eating vegetables. Sorry, but that would disgust me. But she's decided to look past that and to continue with him, right? And before announcing that she's going to keep him around and continue dating him, she basically calls him simple and stupid. So she's trying to decide, do I stick with Earl the Pearl, or do I go forward with Adam? She says, on the one hand, Adam, he's complex, he's intelligent, he's well educated. He went to Oxford. He's got multiple degrees, right? I could always learn something new for him. He's not simple like Earl. I was like, damn, I guess this is it for Earl, right? Peace out, because she just disrespected the man. But then come to find out, she decides to go ahead and keep Earl around instead. I was so shocked. And so on elimination night, Adam wasn't the only one to go home. In fact, there was another guy named Jay who also went home. But actually, it was Jay who decided that he wanted to walk away on his own accord, because he was there to make romantic connections, not to find friends, right? And he was trying to make a connection with Giselle, but Giselle is not capable of romantic or emotional connections, right? She's shallow as a puddle. Y'all, there's not much going on up there with her. And so it just was not working. And he decided to just go ahead and walk away, which I thought, listen, I wouldn't have personally done that. I would have stuck around. Free vacation. And remember, he had a date with Giselle where they had them eating $500 tacos. You're going to let me stay here for free in a luxury resort and I get to eat $500 tacos? You think I'm walking away? Absolutely freaking not. I don't care if I don't have a love connection. So long as I'm having fun, I'm staying. What about you guys? Would you have stayed? Ali says, I attempted it, but then Ashley came on my screen and Giselle. And that's the crazy part. I cannot stand Ashley. I cannot stand Giselle. But somehow on this show, they're tolerable. For example, Giselle was not tolerable to me on Girls Trip, Ultimate Girls Trip. She's still her old, I'm sorry, but her personality is so ugly. This is somebody who just is so rotten on the inside, so ugly on the inside. Every time I see her, that's what I think. And so it's hard to watch her, for me anyway. It truly is. But on this show, it actually works. I think there's less opportunity for her to let her mean girl side out. And so thank God for that. Star says, I don't watch any of the shows you talk about, but I watch through your commentary. And I love that for us, Star. Thank you, boo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cynthia says, I just started the show too. Yes, there are dozens of us, dozens. I'm telling y'all, it is such a good show. Shayna likes it. I'm enjoying it so much. Ashley made me side high to her so much. She was an F-boy. She was a true F-boy this episode, and I have a lot to say about her. Kahara's not yet finished with it. You got to catch up, boo. It is so good. And Ramster, yes, Bravo's Love Hotel. It is so good. And right? Everybody can be swayed by tacos. They're so good. By the way, if you guys ever come to Paris, go to a place called No Mas Taqueria. They've got some bomb ass tacos. Really, really good. And you also have to go to Tiger Milk. They've got even better tacos. I love these places. But the thing I love about No Mas is that it's kind of like, it's almost giving food trucks. So you're kind of like out on the street. You order your little tacos and you go out eat in the street like a rat. I love that, you know. But then if you want something a little bit fancier, you go to Tiger Milk, which is also a really beautiful and fun experience. And so basically, what happens next is, again, they have the elimination. And so a bunch of these guys go home. And something that was really interesting was, we already know Shannon gives her key to Earl after insulting him, basically calling him like backwards and stupid. Giselle gave it to Phil. Giselle doesn't have a romantic attraction for Phil. She likes his money. Phil is rich, y'all. Phil has a Rolls Royce. He's got a home in Bel Air. He's got a home in Arizona. He's got so many things, right? And that's what Giselle likes. So she's going to continue to spend time with him. And Luann gave her key to James. She's trying to bone him. Ashley gave it to Ralph, the old man, instead of to Wale, the young tenderoni around her age. And I gotta say, I was quite shocked. I know she was flirting with Ralph and everything, but I was shocked that she would full-blown give him a key instead of Wale, because there's not going to be an actual romantic connection there. Ralph is just trying to bone a 30-something-year-old while he can, right? He's in his 60s, I believe, or 50s, and he's just so excited that a 30-something is attracted to him. So he's just trying to get his D wet, and then he's going to discard her. So for her to give him a key over Wale, who's genuinely into her, is crazy to me, right? And then she, honestly, like somebody said here, who was the one who was saying that like Ashley was such like a mess this episode? Like she really was laying it thick with Wale after she decided to eliminate him. The only reason at this point that Wale is still here is because the rest of the girls saved him for Ashley. They said, no, Ashley, you need to be with this man. We're going to use our opportunity, our ticket or whatever to keep this man around for you. We're doing this for you, girl. Right? And so she goes up to this guy that she just eliminated and the other girls saved. She goes, Wale, I just know I'm going to fall in love with you. I'm scared of just how deeply in love with you I'm going to fall. And he peeped game. He said, really, Ashley? The way you just eliminated me? She goes, I didn't eliminate you. He goes, yeah, you did. The other girls gave me the key. You chose Ralph. And so basically he's like, she's an F girl. And she is. She's an F girl. She's a mess. She really is, you know, like this is not cool the way she treats this man. And I get that she doesn't want to be with him because he wants to have kids and she's already been there, done that, right? Like she got herself a nice old man to have his kids so that she could secure her financial future. And she doesn't want anymore, right? So I wish that she would just let him go. She should have just ignored him if she didn't want to be with him anymore, right? Like she didn't save him. She could have just been like, okay, fine, go away. And I'm going to find somebody else who wants to be child free. And so here comes Ralph marching along. So after she tells Wale that she knows she's going to fall in love with him, and that's what she's so scared of, and her connection with him is so deep, she picks up Ralph and she brings him up to her room to bone him, right? So she wants to bone this guy. Like this was so dirty. The way she did Wale was so dirty. So they're in her room and everything, right? And so they're supposed to be hooking up. Like she was hot in the pants for this man. She truly was. But when the push comes to shove and they start making out, she goes, ew, kissing this man is so disgusting. Like, it's like kissing a lizard. And I think it has to do with his lips. This is something that they had mentioned 1 or 2 episodes prior. And again, when I keep telling you guys, Giselle Bryant has such an ugly soul. She went on that television in front of the cameras. And when Ashley told her she was interested in Ralph, she said, oh, but didn't you tell me that like kissing him must be so like terrible because his lips are so thin? Like that was such an ugly thing to say on television, you know? Like if Ashley said that, it was in private because she did not want to humiliate that man. But Giselle and her ugly soul, they went and said that on camera, right? So I do think that that is why she's not enjoying kissing this man. And by the way, Moline, I'm in Paris, but I'm born in Kenya and I'm from Canada. So I never know how to answer this question. So I think that that had something to do with it. I don't know about y'all. I once kissed a very, very thin-lipped man and it was like kissing a fish. Okay. So I think that that's what that has to do with. And so she decides that she's not going to hook up with this man anymore, because if you can't make out with the guy, then what's the point? Like, you're not going to want to, like, you know, continue to escalate it or whatever, right? And get to that level. So she did what any girl would do in this situation, which is to go, oh, I'm on my period. Get out. This is not happening, right? So voila, that is exactly how that plays out. And so she does explain the situation to Giselle. But before we get there, I want to catch up with some of you guys' comments, okay? Bree says he was not wasting his time and money. He probably wants to go home and work. And you know what? I think that's it. I think this guy has some sort of a business, and time is money. So at a certain point, he enjoyed a good amount of time there. But you do have to go on and continue, you know, with your life, especially if you're a businessman, right? And he probably misses his family and friends on the outside. She just says, I don't like the show, but I watched your review on it. Okay, girl, I'm happy. You know what? We've got at least the Valley together. X says, I can be swayed by tacos. Right? Me too. And why were they $500? Because they put like gold flakes in it, and other ones had like expensive caviar. That's why the tacos were so expensive. Farrah says, I would have stayed for the vacation. Right, me too. Mexico. I love Mexico so much. I would have stayed as long as I could. Ali says, I'll watch if you watch Summer House. Okay, when does Summer House come out, Ali? Maybe I'll have to go ahead and watch it for you. Right. And yes, please, Ronnie, you have to watch it. It is so good. Love Hotel is one of the best new shows that Bravo has put out there recently. In fact, I do have a question for you, which is, are you guys going to be watching that show with the Bravo children? What is it called? The Next Gen or something like that? Is that a show that you guys are going to be watching? Should we talk about it together or no? Okay. Because if you guys are in, I'll be in as well for that show. Just an FYI. What else did y'all have to say? Giselle is the reason I can't listen. I get it. Giselle, like, there's something about her that just produces a visceral reaction in me. Again, I find her so like ugly on the inside, just so ugly. And so every time I see her, I go, oh, you know, and the way that she like was so gleeful when Ashley was talking about how terrible it was to kiss Ralph. She's like, Ralph, you're like 60. You should have worked out. Like, she just went and just, like, why is she always like that? She's so happy to just drag people and take things to such an ugly place, right? H says the same thing. I watched Love Hotel and too, and I completely agree. Giselle has an ugly personality. I thought the show would help change my opinion. No, that's the thing, you know, she doesn't know how to interact with people, right? And that's why it doesn't surprise me that she can't make romantic connections, because there's nothing going on with her. Like, she can't be vulnerable. She can't, like, there's nothing, like, all she knows how to do is be mean to people. All Giselle could do is bully people, right? Bree says that's Shannon's problem. She keeps belittling her men. They take it, and then they hit a point, they resent her and treat her badly. And you know what? It is true. And I hope that she can understand and work on that. Because I think, you know, she has the capacity to have long-term relationships and whatnot. But she just needs to work on that, because it's not cool. And then she plays victim. Like, why are they treating me like this? Girl. Cynthia says, I've never watched Real Housewives, but I think Ashley's just looking for someone to take care of her, right? She's a sprinkle girly. And there's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, it's kind of sad watching her throw away really good connections. Because I think Waleed's successful as well. I don't remember what he does for work, but he's successful. He can take it. But for her, you have to be older than her. I think she's also looking for a father, you know, because, you know, we all know her relationship or lack thereof with her own father. So she wants these like older men. And you know what? Speaking of Ashley, like white guys, and she needs a father figure. She used to say, you know what? Michael does look like my father. Imagine that. You're boning a man. Talk about he looks like my father. Are you well? Yes, beach out. We got good Mexican food in Paris. It's not like in Mexico itself. However, we have some good Mexican food in Paris. I love it so much. Cara says, did you watch? Oh, so it's already over. And here you're all telling me I need to go watch it. Okay. It's over though. Damn. We'll have to go find out how to watch it then. Well, I'll watch it on Hey You, the replay. Christiane says, did you ever watch Shaw? Yes, I used to watch Shaw's of the Sunset and I loved it. And I will be watching the new one. And I wish I could do Mormon Wives too, but they're putting these things on these new platforms. And I don't have that platform, unfortunately. But I know that everybody is going crazy for it. I'm jealous of y'all. Please enjoy it for me. So where were we? Oh yeah. So Ashley was telling Giselle about like the terrible experience kissing Ralph, right? And again, Giselle is so happy. And then she decides to just go and say these really ugly comments about him on the show. And then The next day, we're bringing in new suitors to the villa, right? And so Mark comes back, and that was somebody that Luann really liked anyway. I actually like him for her better than James. I can't stand James. I think James is very fake and weird and kind of creepy to me. Something about him just like sends off my creep radar. And so I don't know. I don't know how long that is going to work out, but I know Luann. Luann does not take things too seriously, and that's something that I do love about her. She's just there to have fun, right? So she's happy that this guy's back, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses. And then James gets super territorial. This is where he decides to go ahead and hook up with her. So they go off. You know, they're trying to find a way off camera to hook up and everything. Luann comes out with her towel. She covers the screen, the camera. And then they get to boning and everything. And then Ashley, after trying and failing to hook up with Ralph because Ralph can't kiss, she decides to go back and lay her F-boy ways onto Wale. And at this point, like in the first 2 episodes, when I started first watching Bravo's Love Hotel, I loved it, her dynamic with Wale. My favorite scene so far of their relationship was when Wale wanted to kiss her. So he walks her to her hotel, and he wants to kiss her, but he's like, oh, is it too soon? I don't want to come on too strong. And then he walks away without kissing her. He hugs her. He's like, oh my God, you're so stupid. You didn't even kiss her. So to himself. And then he turns around, runs to her room, knocks on the door, and kisses her. I thought it was so sweet, right? But now in this episode, with the way that Ashley is behaving like an F-boy, I'm no longer interested in watching their dynamic. And I hope that Wale just finds someone better, or that he plays her back, right? Because she just played him so hard. And then she comes back. She's love bombing him again. And then nitpicking his words. Like he'll say things about wanting to have a family and she doesn't want to have a family and stuff. And then she'll just like nitpick everything he says. And it's just so toxic, honestly. Like at this point, I'm not liking her anymore on this show, at least her dynamic with Wale. I want her to just put him out of his misery and let him like, move on to the next. I will say though, that her wardrobe on the show is surprisingly good. Typically, her wardrobe on Potomac is so trashy and so terrible and so like cheap looking. Not cheap like monetarily, like cheap as in like you're looking like, I could find you on the side of the road and offer you $3, for you to like hook up with somebody. That's what she typically looks like. But here she looks like so classy and so like, chic and on trend and whatnot. B Chocolate says, I didn't know you were born in Kenya. You have such an interesting story. Let's do lunch if you're ever in Seattle. I'll hit you up if I'm ever in Seattle. It's funny. My little brother's always in Seattle, but I've never been. Yeah, I'm born in Nairobi, Kenya, y'all. And so, yes, we talked about Shaw's A Sunset and how I wish I could watch Mormon Wives with you guys. Be Wise enjoys Love Hotel. It's just such an easy, chill show to watch. I love it so much. But Chocolate says, nope, we'll not be watching the Next Gen show. I've had it up to here with nepotism. Listen, I hear you on that. Alice says there's 9 seasons. 9 seasons of Summer House. Where have I been? Why didn't y'all tell me that this was here the whole time? Damn. And it's better than Winter House, right? Are those the people that came on Vanderpump Rules and the guy told Stassi like it was kind of weird that she's in the hot tub with a turtleneck and she looked like Steve Jobs? Angelica says, listen to you all the time, but this is my second time listening at the dentist. Ugh. Is that you in your photo, Angelica? Are you a yogi? Because that is absolutely stunning. I am loving that photo. You look so at peace if that's you. Whoever's in that picture looks so at peace. I hope you're not getting a root canal, girl. Thanks for joining us from the dentist. Ali says, yes, exactly. Sometimes Ashley does give high-end escort vibes. I'll give you, you're so sweet, Jaleesa. You're so sweet. Listen, I'm going to try and find a way, okay? How many episodes in are we for Mormon Wives? I'll try and find a way. What is it on Paramount? Oh God, I can hardly keep up, y'all. B Chocolate says, I understand that reality TV is how they make a living, but so obvious that they are just being extra to get screen time. I agree. There's absolutely nothing authentic about Giselle and Ashley, and I agree. And I find that so sad, right? I feel like even Luann is not looking for a life partner, right? Or at least it doesn't seem like she is. However, she has fun. Like she lets her hair down. She doesn't take herself too seriously. She tries to make like a certain level of connection or something like that, And so I wish we could see more of that from Giselle, especially, right? Ashley, at least she's like effing around, but I don't know. She's turning me off the way she's treating Wale. Justice for Wale. I love him so much. I really do. I think he's a really great guy. And I still feel bad for him with the way that Giselle in the first episode, like joked about him like being a criminal or something. I'm like, Giselle, you were never beating those colorism, anti-Black allegations, boo. BY says, I think that Ashley needs to stop wearing wigs. Yes, she has just such stunning, gorgeous natural hair. Her curls are so beautiful. So I'm always surprised by the weird, like, you know, synthetic wigs that she decides to wear every now and again. Why? When you have such a beautiful hair, girl. Cheryl says they should have kept her in the hospital 100%. So this is about Mackenzie. So for those of you who are just joining, or maybe who missed out a little bit earlier, but at the top of today's morning report, we spoke about Mackenzie McKee having pregnancy complications. She was diagnosed at the emergency room with pre-eclampsia. And she said she had gained somewhere between 12 and 20 pounds of water weight over the span of 48 hours or something like that. And then they sent her home. And so she's going to seek out a second opinion today with her primary care physician. And so this person, Cheryl, is saying that they should have kept her in the hospital. And I agree. I think it's crazy, especially with how high risk her pregnancy already is, right? Once again, shout out to you, Dejanira. Isn't that so cool? She's been watching me since she was pregnant in 2018. Oh my God. And her son would be, like 7 years old by now. Oh my God, how the time flies. That's crazy. Kelly says the judge denied Diddy's mistrial yesterday. Thank you, Kelly. And yes, that's something we talked about as well. Diddy is trying everything he can to get this thrown out. I will be honest with you guys, especially after we spoke about all these celebrities getting these pardons yesterday. So the Chrisley family got their pardons. Young something, NBA or whatever, got his pardon. Some other person, Big Meech or something like that, Larry Hoover, got his pardon. A lot of celebrities are getting pardons. So I do fear, especially somebody with as much money as Demon Diddy has, I do fear that presidential pardons are up for sale, and that when convicted, because we all know he's getting convicted, y'all, we're going to claim it. When he's convicted, I do fear that Diddy's going to be able to buy his way out of prison with Donald J. Rump. Damn it. Ali says, okay, Mormon-wise is only 2 seasons. So that's good. That's going to be an easy one to jump into. H says, Giselle is a bore on the show. She doesn't seem like she genuinely wants to connect with anyone, even the guy she's interested in. It's just because she has, exactly. I think there's a personality issue. Like there's a chip missing in her mind, you know, and this is something her daughters have even spoken about. And I think that that's why she has such a difficult time, like finding a stable relationship. Like there's just something missing. She can't connect with people. I don't know what it is, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it's trauma, because remember, she was married to Pastor Holy Whore, Jamal Bryant, and he was running around banging the entire congregation, having children with people in the congregation. He humiliated her on a level that I hope none of us will ever be humiliated, right? And her in life. So maybe that's something that like caused it for her. I don't know, but it's really sad. Chase and Katrina, the colorful beauty that you are. I'm loving all the colors here. Finally catching a live. Nice to see you, boo. We're on the tail end of this, by the way, but it's nice to see you, boo. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope to catch you in the Playback Posse. And by the way, we go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will be live again tomorrow, okay? Ali says, I thought pardons typically happen at the end. That's what I thought too, but he's been handing these out like candy. Didn't he just like get back into office in January? We're only a couple months in. By the way, speaking of back in office, Elon Musk, he says he's stepping away from White House life. Listen, the way that Tesla has fallen out of grace, the way that Tesla stock has plummeted, he's smart to walk away, but I think it's too late. I don't think people want anything to do with him. And he lost a lot of people from Twitter as well. So people like myself have walked away from Twitter ever since, you know, he really showed like how truly, truly ugly of a person he is. Not even ugly, but evil. He's an evil, demonic creature. Ferris says, why would she see her primary care OBGYN will be the one to handle her? Yeah, exactly. You know, I guess because she was just panicking yesterday with all the symptoms and whatnot, but today she's going to be seeing her primary care OBGYN. You don't remember Summer House? Okay, so that's the one, right? He's the one who said, okay, like, girl, were you in the hot tub with a turtleneck for? He was funny, right? Really funny. And I agree, Ali, too little, too late indeed. The damage is done, Elon Musty. Farrah says, I totally agree. He is going to pardon Diddley the way he pardoned the Chrisleys. And it's sad. Listen, Diddy has a lot more money to offer that man in clout than the Chrisleys. And it's just so sick and disgusting. Now, with that being said, y'all, listen, I am a sniffling mess. I have to go get my antihistamines. So I got to run. But thank y'all so, so much for joining me for another episode of The Morning Report. It has been so fun chatting with y'all. Another big thank you to Vivian and Acacia for your super stickers and your super chats. And thank you to all of you who have liked this video as well. I am changing some of my sponsors for this show. And so I do need to create a new commercial for y'all. So stay tuned for that. That's why the commercial didn't air yet. So we're keeping Philo as a sponsor. We know and love Philo. We love the skincare brand as well. However, the contract is over with them, but we got different contracts lined up, y'all. So stay tuned for new commercial videos, okay? Take good care of yourselves, you guys. And if you enjoyed today's episode of the show, please don't forget to give it a like on your way out. And don't forget, we go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. EST, which means I'll be seeing you again tomorrow. Bye, y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.